Hey everyone, Santa Rosa Slinger here. For those of you familiar with the channel, welcome back. For those of you who are new, this is typically a cowboy action shooting shorts and kind of compilations kind of channel. In the past I've done a couple of gear reviews, and today I have something unique and hopefully something cool, so stay tuned. That's right, I just got in the Primary Arms GLX 1-10 first focal plane Griffin Mill LPVO. Now, this has been a little bit of a stealthy release by Primary Arms. To my knowledge, at the time of this video, I have not come across any other videos on YouTube. And there have only been very few and scattered forum posts ranging from like 2021 up to, even just a few days ago discussing this optic. And, I just wanted to share it with you guys just so we can all learn about this scope together, since again, there's a little bit of a paucity of information on it so far. Now, before we begin, I want to talk about my relationship with Primary Arms and everything else that's featured in this video. The short answer is there isn't one, other than I really enjoy Primary Arms and their optics. I like the ACSS concept and their reticles and their ideas. I don't mind the chevron. I know that's a bit of a controversial topic online, apparently. But in any case, I'm just sharing this without any monetary interest or conflict. I paid for these things with my own money, and I mostly just want to share it with you all so that you can choose whether or not that this is the right scope for you before you spend your own hard-earned cash. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this thing. All right, so here we go. First impressions, the box is really nice, like much nicer than I was anticipating, and bigger too. For comparison, here is the box for the GLX 1-6 by 24 forced focal plane. We'll talk about this one a little bit more later on, but for this one, just to kind of catch some people up if you aren't already aware, Primary Arms has three different tiers, if you will. The SLX, the GLX, and the PLX, which stand for silver, gold, and platinum, respectively. Now, in general, the silver line is the kind of more affordable budget, if you will, options. They're generally manufactured in China. The GLX is the balance between quality and affordability. They are typically manufactured in the Philippines. And then the platinum or PLX line is kind of their flagship line. It is, they are generally manufactured in Japan and carry the corresponding price tag. Now, I say generally, though, because this is a GLX, and as I mentioned, they're typically manufactured in the Philippines, but interestingly, this one is manufactured in Japan. In fact, this was even shown on my shipping notification and the kind of invoice and everything, which corroborates with some things that I had read online from a couple of Primary Arms representatives on some forums that said that this particular optic, the less critical parts were imported to Japan, or imported into Japan, and the final assembly was there. And so what that means about the quality in the glass, I guess we will have to find out. Now, the rest of the information on the box, I'm not necessarily going to read it all to you. It's pretty much everything that's on the website, but this gives you some of the specifications of the optic itself, some of the features, and then I chose to go with the MIL or MRAD reticle. That's just a personal preference. All my other optics are in MILs. All of my other shooting buddies generally use MILs, and so it just made much more sense. Plus, I love their Griffin reticle in other optics as well. And speaking of which, just to get a comparison shot of that GLX 1-6, in case you're curious in comparing them. Again, I'm not going to read them to you, but they are there, and they're also available on the Primary Arms website. But let's go ahead and crack into this bad boy. So opening the box. Again, very nice, much nicer than I was anticipating even. Nice laser etched foam here. Manuals and things. And then we are starting to get to the goods here. Nice Primary Arms Optics microfiber cloth. All of your wrenches and things, which I'll put in here for safekeeping. Oh, let's see. Yep, this looks like the optional exposed or tactical turret. And then the scope itself. So I'll be right back and get this open for us. All right, and here she is. It is very, very nice in the hand. And this is just like the first impressions, of course. Looking down here, you can see here, assembled in Japan, just like we talked about. Interestingly, and I didn't know this from the product page or really anything, but it comes with lens covers, which is nice because the GLX 1-6 did not. And so I had actually already preemptively removed these Vortex, the E10 and the E24, I believe they're called, lens caps from them to put on here, but I guess that's not necessary. I tend to like to put my dopes and everything on the inside of my caps, and so we'll have to figure out if that's going to be the same size. Obviously, the objective is going to be the same, but anyway, that's another topic for later. For comparison, here is the GLX 1-6. So it is considerably larger, which makes sense. The specifications on the website suggest that, and I honestly don't have them up in front of me. You and we can all find out for ourselves. But for reference, here is a ruler. So what does that say? That's, yeah, like basically a foot. And over here is like 11 inches, more or less. In any case, point is that the GLX 1-10 is definitely larger. So let's put them on my totally non-precision Amazon special kitchen scale. We'll start off with the optic of the hour. So we have 23.9 ounces, basically 24 ounces. And then for comparison, $21.8, so basically, 22 ounces. So a little bit of a difference there. Taking a closer look at everything, starting from the eyepiece, as I mentioned, included caps, which is a very, very nice touch. They do apparently spring open. Let's see if they go back. They do not, but that's okay. Click down nicely. Let's try this one. Yep, that's about as far as back as they go. Close that up. Interestingly, the turrets, they look more or less the same as the 1-6, but there is a slightly different finish on them. It's kind of hard to tell on the camera, but in person, the 1-10 has more of kind of this matte black finish on the Primary Arms logo, whereas the 1-6 is more of a kind of glossy gray, if you will. Now, the turrets themselves, let's go ahead and open one up. It's nice. I'll be honest that they feel essentially the same as the 1-6. It's hard to get that on camera, but here, let's put that one with that one, just to kind of compare here. Yeah, I mean, so not the loudest or most kind of audible, but they're definitely tactile and they feel good. I mean, there's not really much else to say about that. I should point out that both of these have the option for an exposed turret. That's the thing that I had in the box, where instead of having a cap turret, you could put the an exposed turret on the elevation, or I suppose you could also probably, I don't know, maybe put it on the windage, but it's designed to be on the elevation, so that way if you prefer to dial as opposed to hold, you can do that. But anyway, we'll put this one back on. Now the throw lever itself, ooh, kind of stiff. Hopefully that'll break in. Yeah, there it goes. And of course it goes to 10. And that is decently stiff. I'm sure it's probably much easier when it's actually on a mounted. That's not to say though that the 1 to 6, now granted this has been on a firearm and it's been used, and so it's probably worked in a little bit, but at the moment it is much easier to turn than this guy. But again, hopefully, okay, it's actually already starting to kind of work in. But yeah, you're not going to be doing any sort of like quick, cool Call of Duty like zoom ins and zoom outs. But there's that. And then as for the illumination, there are 2 night vision settings, and it goes all the way up to 9. There actually is not a stop in between each, which is interesting, because the 1 to 6 does. It does not, however, have an off setting all the way at the end, nor does it have any marketed night vision settings. So that is a fairly significant difference. Again, night vision settings, and there's a dedicated off one there. And then I'll test later on to see if you can kind of stop somewhere in between. Now, I should also mention that both of these have the auto live technology, which is basically like an auto off feature. And then when you go to pick up your firearm, then the motion will reactivate the illumination. So you could theoretically just leave it on the setting and then it'll turn back on. That's up to preference. I personally, when I'm in, put it into storage, I put mine into off. So that is something to consider. I should point out also too that this is much easier to turn than this one. Like this one, I actually kind of have to fight it, and that one's been worked in. This one is much smoother. With that said, I actually want to go ahead and try to give you guys some idea of the reticles in them and not just the pictures. I did buy this contraption from Amazon that we're going to try out. Now, this video is not about this thing, but just for the sake of showing you what it is, this is, again, some sort of like Amazon special, almost kind of like a knockoff of some of the nicer scope mounts. I'm going to see what happens if I try to mount this guy and put my phone in here, and we'll see if we can get some footage in the backyard of what these reticles look like. So stay tuned. So here's a view of my yard. That fence is about 30 yards away. Now, I'm using this contraption from Amazon to look through the scope. I promise you, it actually looks much clearer through the actual glass without all these lenses and mirrors and stuff to get this view. But I just want to show you here that this is the reticle at 1x zoom. The illumination is off. The illumination is now on. You can see that it actually provides decent contrast. I, again, wouldn't say that it's aim point bright necessarily, or red dot bright, but it provides sufficient contrast. I'm going to go ahead and start scrolling up. This is 1x, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. At 8x, the ring starts to get towards the edge of the reticle, and then from 8, and then this is 10. You can see that the horseshoe chevron is now very easily visible, as is the mil dot grid. The illumination is at 9. This is 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Night vision 2, night vision 1, and then off. I'm going to go and start scrolling back. This is 10, 8, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and again 1. All right, here's a test of staring straight into the bright Florida sky. This is at 1x. This is with the illumination off. This is with the illumination at 9. You can see that it is technically daylight bright, but it's certainly not aim point bright or red dot bright or whatever you want to call it. Going from 1x zoom here. This is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. At 8 times magnification, the larger ring starts to come towards the outside of the scope, and then by 10 times, it's completely out of view, and you just see this other reticle. Again, this is 9. You can see that the illumination is actually pretty good, at least usable. This is 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then the night vision settings, night vision 2, night vision 1, and we're in the off position. Coming back from 10 times, this is 10, 8, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, now that I'm back inside after playing around in the backyard, I have a couple of other observations. Now that I've gotten the included lens covers off, it was nice to see that they have a witness mark on the eyepiece diopter. As opposed to on the 1:6, there is no such marking. Not that that's a major deal or any sort of deal breaker or anything, but it is nice to be able to have some reference in case your diopter were to move or a friend uses it. That way you can get right back to where you were without having to fool around with getting that all adjusted. I especially appreciate that since I am bespectacled and it takes me a little bit of time to find the setting. I also noticed that the diameter of the eyepiece is approximately the same as the GLX 1:6, which I believe is 1.6 inches. Don't quote me on that. But that means that these Vortex E10s should hopefully fit on here. So let's give that a try. Yep, with a little bit of persuasion. It goes right on. And then, of course, since it's the same 24mm objective as the 1:6, the matching cap should also fit, which it does. Yep, there it goes. And then I like these caps because they flip flat. And then, like I said, I keep my dopes in the cap and we're good to go. So there you have it, the Primary Arms GLX 1:10 first focal plane LPVO. Hopefully this video shed a little bit of light and gave some more information on this somewhat stealthy release by Primary Arms. So what do you think about it? Be sure to leave a comment down below, like, share, subscribe, and all those other things that I'm supposed to tell you to do. But thanks for watching and see you next time.